Hi, my name's Steve Holland from the Bear Alley Books and Bear Alley blog, and I'm here to answer a few questions about Commando in celebration of their 60th anniversary. So here we go. When did you start reading Commando? Well, I read Commando as a kid in the late 60s, as well as a few other pocket libraries that were around. I liked the idea of a complete story. That was the advantage of Commando. It was a story with a beginning, middle and end, whereas of course the weekly titles always ended after 2 pages or 3 pages on a cliffhanger. So I liked those complete yarns. The downside of that was 64 pages. They were expensive. They were a shilling, which was a lot of money when Valiant, which was my paper of choice, was only 7 old pence, and the Beano was even cheaper. That cost 4p, and you could buy 3 Beanos for the price of a Commando. Now that didn't mean that we didn't buy them. What you would do is that you would join a little gang of pocket library readers and spend 1 shilling on 1 issue and then share it around. So you could read 3 or 4 or 5 even for the cost of 1. Sharing did mean that they didn't always survive that long. They got a bit battered, and I don't actually have any of those earlier issues, unlike my Valiants, where I still have the copies that I bought back in 1969. What is your favourite issue of Commando? What is your favourite issue of Commando? I don't really have a favourite issue per se, but I do have some favourite artists. The look of Commando is really, it's down to cover artists like Ken Barr and Ian Kennedy above all others. There are other artists that I am a fan of, people like Jordi Penalva, and more recently Keith Burns. In the 2000s I became a huge fan of Jose Maria Jorge, and picked up every issue of his that I could find. There was just something about the precision of his work, the technical detail of his aircraft, whether they were from the First World War or the Second World War. He ended up drawing over 10,000 pages for Commando, and I defy anyone to find a single one that isn't perfect. And he painted some beautiful covers as well. What is your favourite issue you've worked on? Now here's a confession. Obviously I haven't worked on Commando, but I did try writing one many years ago. I had written 2 issues of Star Blazer towards the end of its run, and when that folded I thought I'd try my hand at a war story. So sometime around 1991 I wrote a synopsis and an opening 30 or so frames about a plucky British spy trying to get scientists out of Berlin before the Russians arrived. And I got a very pleasant rejection back from George Lowe, who was very nice and basically said, not for us. The only other time I submitted anything was an idea for a 12-part Britain Invaded storyline that would have taken over the title for 3 months, which was turned down by Callum Laird equally nicely but equally firmly as being too complicated. So obviously those issues are my favourites. They would have been, but they were not to be. Question 10. Which aircraft do you prefer, Spitfire or Hurricane? I think I would have said Spitfire when I was a kid, if it were a choice between only those 2. That was the plane that was made famous in films like Reach for the Sky and Battle of Britain. But I really liked the de Havilland Mosquito. I saw that first in 633 Squadron, written by Frederick Smith. In fact, I I still have some of Frederick Smith's books on my bookshelf. That's Mosquito for 633 Squadron, and yeah, became a big fan of the Mosquito thanks to Frederick Smith and 633 Squadron. So that would be my favoured plane. Question 11. What would you like Commando to do in the next 60 years? Keep going. Yeah, just keep going. Right? It's a wonderful institution. It's a fantastic comic. Question 12. What are your 5 words to describe Commando? I guess in this day and age, it's something you should really try. Question 13. What would you tell someone who has never read Commando? Try one. You know, they're easily available. Pop into WH Smith's or any other retailer. You can order them. Yeah, just try one. They're very easy to subscribe to. Try one. That's really it. Question 15. Favourite theatre of war, setting or period? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I like some of the experiments that Commando has done over the years with science fiction. I should say that I'm a science fiction fan, and I started looking or reading Commando again, not constantly or consistently, but looking Commandos, having written a couple of episodes of Star Blazer, which was a science fiction series back in the late 80s. So yeah, I like the experiments that they've done with science fiction. However, in a World War II setting, there's something oppressive about jungle settings of the Far East. The heat of the tropics and wading through dense foliage and torrential rivers. It looks fantastic on the page when it's done by a really good artist. Someone like Gordon Livingston would really make a meal of that kind of thing.